Have you ever imagined driving a luxury cruiser that, deep down, was secretly a truck? Or maybe sitting behind a square steering wheel in a car that looked like it just landed from outer space? You know, we often look back at the 1950s and 60s as this golden age of simple, elegant steel. But let me tell you, beneath all that chrome lived some of the most bizarre, most Frankenstein engineering decisions ever put on the road. So in this explainer, we're diving headfirst into that incredible automotive madness.
And no, that is not an exaggeration. This was a time when the car you saw in the showroom looked like a top-of-the-line cruiser on the surface, but it could be something completely different, and frankly, profoundly strange, hiding just below the sheet metal.
So let's kick things off with our first case study. This car is the perfect example. It projected this image of wide, confident American luxury, but it was really just a parts bin special, stitched together completely out of necessity.
Okay, meet the Pontiac Parisian. Now, at a glance, it looks every bit like the famous, gorgeous Bonnevet, right? But this car was built specifically for the Canadian market. And here's the twist. In Canada, Pontiac wasn't a fancy premium brand. It was the volume-selling, everyday car, even more popular than Chevrolet.
Now, Pontiac's whole marketing thing was its wide-track stance. It was supposed to be wider for better handling and a better look. But for the Canadian Parisian, this was all just an illusion. Underneath that confident posture, this car was hiding a massive secret.
And here it is, the big reveal. To save money, General Motors of Canada built the Parisian entirely on a Chevrolet platform. That means it used a narrower, shorter Chevy chassis and a totally different Chevy X frame. The wheelbase was a full 3 inches shorter than its American cousin, which is why, if you look closely, the wheels never seem to quite fill out the wheel arches properly.
The visual effect of putting that big, wide Pontiac body on the narrow Chevy running gear was, well, it was something else. The wheels were tucked so far inside the bodywork that the car earned this absolutely perfect and hilarious nickname, a hippo on roller skates. You just can't unsee it.
And get this, it wasn't just the frame. The steering wheel, the pedals, the simple 2-speed Powerglide transmission, it was all Chevrolet. But the engine? Oh, the engine is the best part. It wasn't a big Pontiac V8. Nope. It was a 261 cubic inch straight-six, an engine that was used in medium-duty Chevrolet trucks in the US. So yeah, this elegant-looking cruiser was, mechanically, a truck. Just wild.
All right, on to our second case study. Now, if the Pontiac's weirdness was hidden away, our next car wore its strangeness like a badge of honor. It was right out in the open for the entire world to see.
Say hello to the 1961 Chrysler Imperial. This thing was the absolute peak of designer Virgil Exner's forward-look styling. I mean, look at it. With those freestanding headlights and those massive fins, it wasn't just a car. It was a full-blown, unapologetic spaceship for the road. But the real shock? That came when you opened the door.
You know, trying to explain this car's interior to someone who's never laid eyes on it is pretty much impossible. It's like it takes every single convention of car design you can think of and just throws it right out the window.
Okay, just look at this madness. The steering wheel isn't a circle. It's this weird rounded-off square. There's no gear lever. You change gears with this crazy push-button pod on the side. The speedometer is a rotating drum that shows your speed through a little window. And that thing sticking up from the dash, that's the automatic headlamp dimmer, and they styled it to look like a tiny little periscope. It's fantastic.
And the technology was just as over the top. You could get the Imperial with 2 separate air conditioning systems, one for the front and one for the back. And they were so ridiculously powerful that owners claimed on the hottest day of summer, they could turn the entire cabin into a freezing blizzard in about 5 seconds flat. Can you imagine? So, was the public ready for this wild vision of the future? Well, not quite. Turns out, for every one person who bought this wildly futuristic Imperial, 10 people walked into a dealership and bought its much, much more conventional rival, the Cadillac.
So, what do these two incredible cars really tell us? What's the big takeaway from this little trip into automotive eccentricity?
Well, we've seen 2 very different kinds of weird, haven't we? The Pontiac was a true Frankenstein's monster, a practical, cost-saving creation born from market economics. But the Imperial, that was a spaceship. Its weirdness was the entire point, driven by a pure design philosophy to push every single boundary they could think of.
Both of these cars, in their own unique ways, represent this amazing moment in history.
It was a time of just incredible confidence and creativity, when taking big, bold risks, and yeah, sometimes failing, was actually seen as a sign of progress.
And that kind of leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? As cars today become more optimized, more efficient, and, let's be honest, often more similar, have we traded some of that daring, eccentric personality for predictability? Have we forgotten how to build hippos on roller skates and spaceships for the road? Something to think about.